Hello ladies and gentlemen, yes, Zeke here again today with 3D Printing Pleb, and we are looking today at the Lord of Lust, another Titan Forge miniature. So a very complicated model and very long model, and today we're going to be talking about thinking about weight and about angles. So this is a bit more of a theoretical episode, where I'm just going to talk about how I like to think as I support. So I'm going to start out with doing the feet support as I usually do. This requires 2 over here. Always make sure that your feet have a good anchoring. This video is about thinking in weight. Imagine how much weight these things have got to carry. So if you look at this, it's going to print a fair ways up with that amount of support. But it's going to start bending, like the weight is going to start pulling the actual model down. So at this point, even though supports don't belong there, you might want to actually throw a couple of heavy supports on the back of the legs. And that will actually stabilize those legs and stop them from falling backwards. And there's lots of good blank space on this model, so you can actually add a couple more supports to the back of the legs again. Always be bringing your supports in or out in order to save on resin. There we go. So now you can see that this will print upwards, and as it gets heavier, as it starts pulling back on the supports, it's going to lean on the supports that I've put later on. And that's going to prevent it from actually pulling off of these supports and just pulling off the plate entirely. So another place where this is very useful, and you're going to have to use a bit of your imagination here because I don't actually have a good place to do this, is for weapons. So a lot of weapons are hanging at odd angles and have to be printed almost all the way up, and you'd think normally they could use 1 or 2 supports. But if they're at a 45-degree angle, what I always recommend doing is actually placing a heavy support as you normally would. Now this would be actually horrible, so I'm just going to very quickly adjust the contact depth there. And I'm going to decrease the upper diameter. There we go. So imagine this was pulling away in this direction permanently. So this is going to support maybe up to about there before the weight starts getting pretty overwhelming for a single support. So what you can do at this point is actually bring a secondary light support in at a different angle, or even at a similar angle. And that support will actually help stabilize the entire build. So you'll need to add more supports on the way up, but sometimes just the 2 supports at the base of the weapon or whatever you're supporting will actually do the trick and will allow it to build upwards. So always keep in mind the weight and the direction of pull that the actual model is exerting on your supports, or else you're going to end up with a lot of supports pulling off the plates, pulling off their supports, supports breaking all over the place. And it's just not a pretty sight. And you'll be like, why are these supports failing? Because it doesn't make any sense. There's enough supports, they're just not in the right directions. So sometimes you actually need to not support things that need support. Sometimes you need to support things that show up in pure blue in Chitubox. Because if you don't support them, your model's going to fall over. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed the slightly more theoretical bent to it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.